Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Beatrice. And in our first story, all government ministers who embark on official foreign travels on first-class ticket have been directed by the presidency to stop with immediate effect. Government has also directed that all ministers to cut down on foreign travels in a bid to curtail government spending. The directive was issued in a letter from the office of the president and signed by the Chief of Staff, Julius Debra, on November 16. Even though government has not clearly stated exactly how much these travels cost government, the Chief of Staff expressed some concerns. The statement stated that it is needless to emphasize the serious impact the current frequent travels abroad by ministers and public officials are having on government finances. The order follows a similar directive by the President of Tanzania, John Magufuli, who has restricted all first and business class travels to government officials, except the President, Vice President and Prime Minister. So is this a step in the right direction? Let's speak with Vitus Azim with the Ghana Integrity Initiative. Hello, sir. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us. It seems we have lost Vitus Azim on the line, but we are talking about a directive from government to all ministers and government officials not to travel on first class. And obviously this is coming after a similar one by the government of Tanzania, directing that only the president and the vice president can travel on first class. We're still trying to get in touch with Vitus Azim, who is an anti-corruption campaigner. Okay, so he is on. Good morning to you, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good morning.
Is this directive in the right direction? Is it necessary?
I think it is in the right direction, although it is long overdue. Especially the timing of this directive, or is it a reminder, is a bit looks a bit suspicious, because we've been taking the government on for the cost of the rebranding. So when this comes up, just maybe to cool us down and tell us that the government is doing something to cut down on costs.
What do you make of the argument that, you know, the fact that another reminder has come means that the first one was flouted? So what is happening to those who flouted the first directive?
That's why I'm saying that the fact that this thing has come out at this time, when we're talking of wastage as a result of the rebranding, the reminder has just come out to maybe tell us that, oh, see, we are doing something, only that you are not saying it. If people have flouted it, and it has given rise to a reminder, something should have been done to those who flouted it. There's no point always making these directives, giving these directives, when you don't put in place measures to check it, you don't put in place sanctions for people who flout it. So definitely, there's no guarantee. We cannot be assured that this is going to happen.
So for you, you think that this is not enough to fight corruption? It's not enough in terms of efforts to fight corruption?
It is not enough for about 2 or 3 reasons. One, the fact that this is not the first time the directive is coming out and that nothing has happened to people who have gone against it. But secondly, because we are not told about measures to check it. For example, I know there are some officers, when they are invited by sponsors and they say they're giving them an economy ticket, they are able to get their institution to make a difference, make up the difference for them to fly business or first class. And I'm not sure that the government has a way of checking these things. And so for it to be effective, they need to first put in place measures that will make sure that they can check and identify abuses, and then sanctions for people who have abused this system. I can tell you, a Danish minister has to resign, was compelled to resign because if he or she flew first class. So we don't have those sanctions in this country.
So for you, that is what you think when we bring on board will prevent people from being involved in corrupt acts?
It will be one of the ways of not necessarily involving in corrupt acts, but cutting down on costs to the taxpayer.
Now, go ahead, please.
But I also want to say that this should not make us forget about the rebranding, because I don't want to believe that this has thrown in just to confuse the issues. We in the media, we in the civil society must follow up on the rebranding, because it's another source of wastage.
Indeed, I was coming to that, and you have raised it. Talking about the rebranding, what do you make of the intervention of the Chief of Staff, asking the Attorney General to investigate? And in fact, the Attorney General is expected to submit the report that they have put together so far. What do you make of this directive from the Chief of Staff?
Again, it's good to give the directives, but do we follow up to do stuff, to act on the findings, the recommendations of the of the committee that has done the investigation? Because we need to know who has done wrong, what amount is involved, are we going to recover those monies from the people that have done wrong, or what sanctions are we going to impose on those people? Otherwise, it's just like the Judgment Debt Commission's report. You do the report, government accepts some recommendations, I ignore some recommendations, and even those recommendations that are accepted, you don't see the action that is being taken. And so we just keep wasting time doing these things, making pronouncements that would have backing them with action, and then at the end of the day, you see, it's like, it's a way of making Ghanaians to forget about some of these things. But unfortunately, there are Ghanaians that are recording all these things. Ghanaians are not forgetting about these things, only that they feel unable to take action.
But even in the first place, is it in the place of the Chief of Staff to be given directives regarding these issues?
Well, I think that is all the ministers are answerable, answerable to the Chief of Staff on behalf of the President. So I think if it's something to do with the ministry, I think the Chief of Staff has a right, a responsibility to look at this. And that's why he has assigned it to the appropriate institution. And I know that the Attorney General is working with the Yoko on this.
Now, what came to your mind? Let me ask you this. What came to your mind when you heard about the rebranding of our buses?
Well, what came to my mind, I was not looking at the cost involved, which is a concern. I was looking at the corruption part, the abuse of incumbency, the fact that it was supposed to be former heads of state, but that there's a sitting head of state who is contesting the 2016 elections, who is going to have a free advert on 116 buses that will be running throughout the country. This is what came to my mind. Unfortunately, because of the work we do, we're always looking at the corruption part of it. That the other heads of the other presidential candidates will not have a chance to have this free advert. Even if they are willing to pay, the space is already taken up. So they will not have a chance to use the buses to advertise.
But again, again, the 1,001 questions people are asking is, was it necessary for government to even undertake this project at all, when there are some other sectors of the economy that need urgent attention?
Yes, I said that we didn't look at that. We didn't, because several analysts had already come out to discuss whether it was necessary or not, and whether the price was reasonable. And I think the majority of people are saying that this was unnecessary, the price was unreasonable. We could have even used those buses for people to advertise and earn money for the state. So definitely it was not necessary. The cost was unreasonable. But we are giving the third part of it, the abuse of incumbency part.
Now, you've talked about ways people have used, other countries have used in punishing officials involved in corrupt acts. This is not the first time we are talking about corruption. I'm sure people watching us may even be tired of this topic about corruption. What practically are we not doing right? What can be done? Maybe there's a new way of dealing with this whole corruption scandal to ensure that we are effective in discouraging people from being involved in corrupt acts.
We should never be tired of talking about anything that is a scourge on society. It is HIV/AIDS. We will continue to educate the public about it. So it is corruption, which is also like a scourge on the people of this country. We should continue to talk about it. We should never get tired about it. But the point is that what we are not doing right is that we do not follow to the logical conclusion of whatever action that we promise that we take on corrupt officials. We may do investigations. We set up laws, we set up institutions, but at the end of the day, we don't conduct the investigations very well, or if we conduct the investigations very well, we do not act on the findings and recommendations as a result of those recommendations, or as a result of those investigations. And for you to effectively fight corruption, you must make it very, very, very unprofitable. In the sense that you should be able to sack people, you should be able to demote people, transfer people, you should be able to recover monies from people that have taken the monies illegally, and you should be able to prosecute people and jail people. Unfortunately, we stop short of the investigations and prosecution. And that's why we are not succeeding. If we had the political will, if our leaders had the political will to now go on to the serious investigations and action sanctions on those investigations, the corruption would drastically reduce in this country.
Have we lost
And that's why the report that came out recently, 75% of the respondents said that our government was not handling corruption very well. And 76% of the respondents said that corruption had increased in the past 12 months. That should give us a cause of concern. We should be worried that when it is reducing in some countries, in Ghana, citizens are perceiving it to be increasing and perceiving that our government is not acting well on corruption.
Have we lost the fight at all?
Well, I wouldn't say we've lost the fight. We are not succeeding, but it is not enough. We should not give up because we are not seeing the immediate results. As we continue to talk, as the media continues to hammer this, as the civil society continues to talk about this, we hope that it will prick the conscience of our leaders to wake up and say, look, I think that this is too much. We must do something about it.
All right, we'll end it here. Thank you very much. Vitus Azim is with the Ghana Integrity Initiative. You're still here on News Desk. Enjoy news on Multi TV. Now, the governing National Democratic Congress is demanding that the Inspector General of Police institutes a probe into the recent arms discovery at the New Patriotic Party's headquarters in Accra. The police in recent dawn raid at the premises of the NPP reportedly retrieved the arms and arrested some persons. General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, fears the arms could possibly be a source of violence in the country. Speaking to the party students network in the central region, Mr. Nketia said they want to have answers to all the unanswered questions.
We heard that there were guns that were retrieved at the party headquarters. The police went in to do some arrest. Quickly, our brothers have tried to shift the argument from answering the question as to why a party headquarters ought to be an armory. And they are now concentrating on the people who came there, whether they were sent by MPP or NDC or they were sent by somebody and so on. So we want to demand from the IGP that the nation needs to know what, first of all, whether it is true that there were arms retrieved from MPP headquarters. By whoever, we don't care. But we must know whether there were arms. Find out how those arms got there. And what the intention of the arms were. Because if it happens that a major opposition party can be keeping arms in their headquarters, then nobody can guarantee the security of this nation, because they have a following. If the purpose is for them to distribute the arms to their followers to create mayhem in the country and make the country ungovernable, should we sit and keep quiet? So it is something that we want answers to. Let us know the nature of arms that were retrieved from MPP headquarters. Let us know who owned those arms and what they were doing there. So don't let us spend time on whether it was soldiers who came there and then to put the soldiers on defense, or whether it was police who came there so that the police will be on defense. The important thing is that whoever went there this can be considered as a whistleblower act. Don't let us talk about who went there, but let us talk about what crime was about to be committed there, who was keeping the arms, and what are they meant for.
And we definitely are going to get the police on this on the midday news, so stay with us. Well, the Vice President has also been talking. Mr. Kwesi Arthur has been speaking about a recent poll conducted and what Ghanaians really want. Speaking at the TAIN conference at Cape Coast University, the Vice President revealed that what Ghanaians actually want is development.
You know, every year we do an opinion poll. We sample opinion about the people, what they think of the government, what they think of our administration, what they think of the challenges facing the country, and how we can go forward. We do it regularly, and the last one that we did in October brought out some interesting things that I suspect will be interesting also for you. There are two things I want to talk about. The question was asked, what are the important priorities facing this country? And the three things that the people of Ghana said are most important for them. The first was development. Every community thinks that the important challenge for our country is to develop our society, develop our economy, provide infrastructure so the private sector can take on and we can progress as a country. The second was jobs, employment. We all know that. And the third was the power disruptions and how we can solve it. They want a situation of so, not the other one. As for the work, so those are the three important things that the people of Ghana want.
Just stay here on News Desk on Joy News on Multi TV with me, Beatrice Edu. And stay with us. When we come back, we have more stories for you, including the latest on the approval of the budget of the Electoral Commission for the 2016 general elections.